Warning. The following video is not intended for an audience under the age of 13. Do not watch the video without a guardian or parent present. That is all.
Quarantine is just leaving me so bored. Oh, hey Maya, what do you want? YouTube channel? YouTube channel? What do you mean YouTube channel? I've got schoolwork I need to do. I can't do YouTube. Maya, look, I appreciate your concern, but I've got my Minecraft habits under control. Oh, I guess I have a problem. And while I do disagree that the possibility of moss growing on my posterior, if you will, is quite low, it does appear that either A, my shirt has suddenly secreted a bunch of lint, or B, my torso has passed its expiration date. Oh, right. It's my 50th episode, isn't it? Well then, Rumble is red, Frenzy is blue, and, well, I think I've got a lot of work to do. My dear friends, family, and subscribers, both new and old, welcome to the 50th episode of It Figures! Now then, for a series like this that's made on the budget of shoestrings, a couple of ham sandwiches, and a dream, reaching 50 episodes is no small feat. And so it will be distinguished as it will be a review of the first Transformer I ever owned as a child. That's right, strap on your shoes and get ready for a good old waltz down memory lane as we take a look at Cybertron Crumplezone. So let me start out by telling you all a little story. The year was 2005. Or 6? I think it was before we knew I had ADHD, but I don't know, whatever. It was around that time-ish. It was an age long before the short-lived glory of Cyberverse, an age before the remarkably high popularity of the Prime Wars trilogy in spite of its high mediocrity. Epochs before the Bay films came to be, and I've run out of humorous descriptors for the time that this was before, but whatever. It was the time before time. Anyways, like I said, this figure came out around 2005-ish/6-ish. I can't be bothered to check the wiki right now, so to ballpark 2005/6. 1 to 2 years before the live-action movie came out. And for a time, I did love Crumplezone, but then he just disappeared. I'm pretty sure my parents either threw him out or flogged him in a garage sale or something, but basically Crumplezone has been absent from my life for the better part of a decade and a half. So how did I get this copy? Well, here's the short version. So the short story is that 2 or 3 weeks before the quarantine/shelter-at-home order came in my state, I took my college shuttle bus down to a local St. Patrick's Day parade that occurred, like, I want to say a week before St. Patrick's Day proper. Relative to the parades in my own hometown, the parade for St. Patrick's Day in that town was actually really, really, really lame. However, I am ultimately very glad I took that shuttle bus, because I ran into a little collectibles shop called Crush Collectibles. Fast forward to 3 hours before my mom takes me home from college because of the current situation the world's in. And I decide to take a little stroll down to that same shop. It's actually a pleasant 25-minute walk away from the college, so I was more than happy to walk there. Anyways, I basically decided to take a look around the store, and then who should I find on a shelf leveled with my knees but Crumplezone himself? Sans missiles and Planet Key. So, of course, I picked him up along with that Energon Perceptor I reviewed a few weeks back, and, yeah. I was a pretty happy dude. In fact, after the shelter at home order is repealed, I'm going to be hawking all of these figures to the collectibles store. Before we go any further, it's fair to point out that some of the figures from the Unicron trilogy have aged like sour cream. I mean, this is one of the better ones from the earlier days of the trilogy, but the articulation hasn't dated the best. But most of Cybertron has aged like a fine wine. However, Crumplezone is, well, in terms of engineering, Crumplezone looks as though he hasn't really aged well either. I mean, just look at this enormous... shit. Now then, from the back, Crumplezone certainly looks like he hasn't aged very well in terms of engineering. I mean, just look at this massive backpack with these giant white and green turbines with these really cool bronze pipes here on the side. I really like that touch, by the way. I do always appreciate a figure with a bit of brass on it. But what, you may ask, of these little lines here on the back, next to them? Well, to answer that, we must venture further down his backpack. Further. Nope, that's too far. No robo-booty in this episode. There we go. There. That. The arrow. There. Yeah, that. Now then, in order to display the functionality of this hole beneath the arrow, all we need to do is Cyber Key power! Yeah, I forgot to mention this is Long Rex Key, by the way. And kaboom! That's right, the majority of the backpack's bulk pack, comes heaving over his shoulders to form these absurd cannons here. Just look at them. They're super detailed and, well, really cool, and unfortunately I am missing the missiles that would fire from the tips of them. Though, that's kind of understandable. In fact, literally just yesterday, I found the missile from the BotCon blast charger reviewed in episode 40 when I was cleaning up my dorm at college. Also, if you take a closer look, you will notice that there's a ton of sculpted detail on this figure. Like, seriously, Cybertron is kind of the siege of the Unicron trilogy, covered in excellent molded detail that's... well, there's just a lot of it. It's kind of impressive for the time it came out. Granted, next to Siege and a lot of other modern figures, it's not the most lavishly detailed of things, but certainly works for what it is. But for what's there, it certainly makes it look really cool. I mean, none of the painted or molded details here, like, helps convey what this vehicle/robot would be for, but I really like it. Now then, I feel as though I should probably cover the articulation at this point because, well, it both does and does not impress me simultaneously. The reason it does impress me is because, well, I wasn't expecting it to be as good as it is, because I was kind of afraid any memories or nostalgia I had for it would sort of cloud my judgment of it. I mean, I know I'm not the most critical of YouTubers here. I'm actually really forgiving of a lot of bad figures. I mean, I forgave Retracts for being so stupid. Look, I shouldn't have a reason to complain here, but it did impress me how much it managed to fit in for the time it was produced. Like, we've got elbows, bicep swivels, we've also got an elbow swivel, which more acts as a wrist swivel more than anything. We've also got a shoulder rotation, we've got a waist swivel, a ratcheted waist swivel at this time, bravo! A head swivel, an articulated jaw, ratcheted knees outward here at the hips, a bit of an ankle pivot or tilt, and like, just the swivel? I am super impressed that this is basically the same amount of articulation that we have on today's Siege figures. Except it was in 2006, and it's glorious! However, the bit that doesn't impress me is that the bulk feels a bit unevenly distributed. His proportions, first and foremost, are weird. They look a bit apish with these hands that literally come down to his knees. And speaking of weird proportions, the feet are way smaller and the hands are far larger than they probably should be. Ladies. You can remove the jaw and oh, holy crap, what the hell? Oh my god, he has no lower jaw. That's horrifying. I'm putting that back on. I feel like he's gonna try and bite my wrists off. One final complaint that I do have about this robot mode that is incredibly valid is that, well, the fins for the arms here in robot mode get in the way a bit. Of course, I should probably keep my mouth shut about the articulation being a bit weird because, well, I actually managed to get him to crump like Marge Simpson. Oh, come on, that was supposed to be my joke.
Oh, and need I forget? All the chunk!
Now then, as is to be expected of so chonky a robot, the vehicle mode conversion is actually really quick, but it's very fun. One problem I do have, though, is that, well, when you get into this mode, the turbines on the back are such that if you even, like, put them down gently and the turbines bounce downwards, they bounce right back up, and boing, out come the fins. This thing is amazing. It's so cool, and I really want a Generations version of this so we can have better articulation. But then again, it would probably be smaller and wouldn't be as detailed and whatever. But in this mode, we also have the Cyber Planet key, and again, we will shove it in. Cyber Key Power! Now then, if this was an Energon, I'm certain that this would be labeled the Hyper Mode. But in Cybertron, we didn't have those. We just had the Cyber Key gimmicks activated. I don't know, whatever. I haven't seen either cartoon, so I couldn't tell you. In this mode, it does make it look as though, under his own power, Crumplezone could fly. I haven't seen Cybertron yet, so I don't know if this mode can, but I'd believe it. Speaking of pilots, actually, you can see here under this blue cockpit that he has a sculpted seating space. For every time you're gonna be using that. You aren't, trust me. Trust me, you could barely even fit 1/10 of a Titan Master in here. But yeah, this alt mode is amazing. And again, I really like the paint that they've applied and how much of it there is. Oh, man, this thing is beautiful. And honestly, coming back to this figure after over a decade really hammers home that sometimes your memory doesn't play tricks on you. One of my biggest fears was that my memories of this figure would have basically overwritten any critical thinking I would have had when approaching it. Though, they really didn't, and unfortunately I think that's because I didn't really have this figure for very long. Or at least long enough to formulate some good stories off of it, or memorable stories anyways. Overall, I'd say that Crumplezone is an amazing figure, and honestly, I'm surprised that I like it as much as I do coming back after more than a decade to it. I was legitimately concerned that any nostalgia I had for this figure would overwrite my ability to judge it fairly, but surprise, surprise, it has not. I mean, sure, it's not the best thing around, but it's still really cool and really fun, and if it had an ankle pivot, I'd say that it would be perfect, but it doesn't, so boo-hoo, I guess. So, what have I learned today? I've learned that sometimes your memory doesn't play tricks on you. And sometimes the toys that you had as a kid are actually good, if not better than the figures that are out now on stores. Most of the time. Better than a lot of the Studio Series Deluxes.
Hey guys, this is Bite from the future. I just wanted to clarify that I don't hate the Studio Series Deluxes. I just don't like them when they're a pain in the butt to transform. I just figured I'd let you all know that. Anyways, back to the video.
Anyways, I'd like to thank all of you for sticking with me for these first 50 episodes of my series. It's been, honestly, a real trip just going through and reviewing every one of these figures, and then before I know it, I have 180 people following me for this. So I really owe a massive thank you to a bunch of people. I know I thanked a lot of people in episode 45, but, well, here we go. I need to give a thanks to, again, Silverfoil for, well, the 2 collaborations we made, and, well, for, just sticking around. I also have to give thanks to Dr. Lockdown for becoming a follower for the channel. Go and check him out. He is amazing, and he does not get nearly enough attention. Then, of course, after that, I'd like to thank the Rejecticons, Sardo, Inutabi, Larkin, Kato, you know, those guys. And, of course, I'd love to thank all of you who are currently watching this video. You do not know how much it means to me. With that being said, please remember to like the video, share it with your friends, you know, subscribe and all that. And of course, have a lovely day. Firebite27, over and out.
To fold like a diamond from gold.